Good evening, everybody. I'll call this regular meeting to order for May the 5th, 2026. Be it resolved that the agenda for May 5th, 2026, regular meeting of council be adopted. Moved by Councillor Duane Whyte, seconded by Councillor Bobick. All in favor? It's carried. Be it resolved that the minutes for the April the 28th, 2026 regular meeting of council be approved. Moved by Councillor Bobick, seconded by Councillor Ainslie Whyte. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Deputy Mayor Moriaux will be attending by video in the next, I believe, 5 or 10 minutes. Councillor Powell is absent, as well as Councillor McKenzie. Moving on to reception, delegation, and hearings. 4.1. Be it resolved the information provided by the Chamber of Commerce be received, and be it further resolved that Chair Bill Gade be invited to speak as a delegation. Moved by Councillor Ainslie Whyte, seconded by Councillor Bobick. All in favor? It's carried. Okay, Mr. Gade, welcome.
Good evening. I wasn't entirely sure what council wanted tonight, if you want me to read through it, or if you just want to ask questions because you've all seen it already, or where you want to go.
Last council, do you want Mr. Gade to go through his, what you've seen actually in the report, or did you want to just go straight to questions?
I prefer the report hearing from Brief
Sure.
Brigade.
We can certainly do that for you.
Okay.
So, a little history to this. The council asked for some updates on the camera project a while back, and also some updates on the Chamber of Commerce as a whole. So this was kind of trying to provide both of that at one time. So I'm not going to read the whole thing because you've seen it, but I'll get through the highlights of it. So if we go back in history, there was $90,000 contributed to the camera project. $40,000 of that came from the town of Swan River, $50,000 from the proceeds of crime fund. There's an additional $10,000 from the town of Swan River for the patrol vehicle. So the total contribution for the Chamber's crime project was $100,000. The Chamber spent a few months looking at different technologies for what to do with the camera system. We had modeled a lot of that from those community meetings after a proposal from BIL Security in Winnipeg. And at the time, we thought that was great technology. We just couldn't afford it because the price tag was several $100s per business per month to use it. So we looked at how they did that and looked at what we could do to make our own, and that's kind of where the camera project went to. So we selected Hike Vision as the technology partner for that. And at the time, Hike Vision gave us the option of buying at retail from an existing distributor or a retailer, or they would make somebody a master wholesaler here. They wouldn't do the Chamber because they didn't have an existing account with Cynics Distribution. So 83 North did that, and I know there's been a lot of questions around that relationship, so it's in here to make sure council understands it. So what it provided was wholesale access to the equipment, plus an additional 20% off of the normal wholesale price, so the Chamber actually paid a lot less than normal for the equipment because it was a community project. We invoiced that through 83 North to the Chamber, and the Chamber received a copy of each invoice. So the only change that was made is when it's bought by wholesale, there's no PST on it, so it was invoiced to the Chamber, the PST was added. But otherwise, the dollar amounts were all the same, so there's no profit, there was no extra, it was just a way to get the cheaper price. With that, we were kind of mindful of one of the other security companies in Swan River that sells the same equipment. They don't buy it at that low of a price. So we did offer it to them as much as they wanted to buy at that same price the Chamber was getting it, to try and make sure there was fairness in the playing field. They never did actually end up purchasing any of that. We also offered for them to be the installer for the cameras because they had experience with them already, and they weren't interested in that either. So they never did participate in the project. The system operates with a central server that was at 515 Main Street until the arson. That server was destroyed. 83 North replaced that as part of the fire and the insurance proceeds from that. In the system, there's 3 parts at each business. So there's cameras that are obviously someplace on the business. There's the network video recorder, and then there's also a connection back to the main Chamber server. The system is set up So there's a monitoring center. That's at the old town office, 135 Fifth Avenue. There's a separate room there. It was the committee room, for those of you that were still around back then. So it has separate access from the outside so that people don't get into the rest of the building just because they're in there. That had always been somewhat envisioned as a place where volunteers could go to access the video. It's never really worked out that way. We've never had volunteers that spend a lot of time there. We certainly use it whenever the RCMP requests the video. The goal was to kind of, marry the COPP thing together with the cameras, and that's just never worked out. The remote monitoring does work quite well. That's set up and running. The RCMP are able to call the chamber for most video. There's a few sites that we're having some connection issues at the moment, but I think that'll be resolved here shortly with some new equipment for them. Outside of the camera system itself, we also set up the patrol vehicle. So the money from the town basically purchased the vehicle. Swan Valley West has been contributing money each year to pay the insurance and registration for the vehicle and for some of the gas. So that's kind of how that program's been working. We also installed a two-way radio system. That was through a grant through Community Futures Development. So we installed a repeater in downtown Swan River. We got handhelds. We got a radio for the patrol vehicle. And the idea was that when people are out on patrol, you can't legally use your cell phone while you're driving. But if you see something and need to call somebody, you can use a two-way radio legally. So that's why that was all set up. We looked into the alarm monitoring issue, and it speaks in here about a business that had a break-in, and the bad guys were in the building for 8 hours because they had no alarm system, which is hard to believe in this day and age, but there's still a lot of businesses in Swan River. And outside of businesses, there's a lot of nonprofits that have absolutely nothing for alarm systems. So the point of the alarm monitoring setup was that it does provide a way for zero-cost alarm monitoring. Swan Valley West has been using it for some sites. The Northwest Regional Library is using it, but it's available to anybody that wants it to have their alarms monitored without paying a monthly fee, which for some small nonprofits can make a difference to them. The camera locations are listed here. I'm not going to read those all in public, but it is on the public agenda anyway, so it's not like it's a huge secret, but you can usually see the cameras fairly easily. There's been questions over time about who paid for which cameras, so we'll get into that a bit. Anything that was the Swan Valley West location was purchased by Swan Valley West with their own money and installed by them. The fire hall cameras were paid for with some chamber funds and some fire hall funds. So they did purchase cameras, but the chamber paid for the install and gave them a little bit of a spiff on the cameras. The town of Swan River locations were paid for from that chamber pot of money. They were installed by town forces though. And the cameras that are at anything that I own were paid for by 83 North rather than by the program, just to try and keep it neat and clean and not have any view that I benefited from it. Boychuk and Windsor's are the two most recent locations. Neither one's fully installed yet. The town cameras have been a challenge. In here it talks about loose wire and such. We actually found out that's not actually the problem. They were disabled on purpose. But those are going to be re-enabled shortly from what I understand. So we'll get them reconnected. That should be good. And speaking to the RCMP, they are looking for more cameras along Main Street and the 21st Street North and South corridor. They're hoping to fill that in a little more. They can see pretty good, but not enough yet. The Windsor's cameras are probably some of the best ones because they're going to be right in that back alley, which has been the source of a lot of trouble. So we're looking forward to those. There is inventory sitting from the chamber. We have 12 full kits. We've got some separate video recorders, some separate cameras. There's a list of stuff on there. The install policy was some questions there. What chamber has been doing is we will provide the cameras, but we haven't been providing the installs, except in some exceptional situations. So we will provide cameras for the outdoors, which is what the RCMP and security need to see. We won't give you free cameras for inside your building. You're welcome to have those. You can buy them from anywhere you want. The chamber will sell them to you if you want to buy the same ones. But you don't get the free cameras for inside because that wasn't the point of the program. It was to just look outside. Generally, we'll give you an NVR that would hold a couple indoor cameras if you want. But if you're looking for 16 cameras inside and 2 outside, we're not giving you a whole bunch of free stuff for the inside. You have to pay for some of what you're using inside. Giant Tiger is the one place we did pay for installation there. And the reason for that was it was a priority location for the RCMP. They really wanted to see that parking lot. So we see all directions from Giant Tiger, including back into the residential behind it. There's a pan tilt zoom camera there as well, so you can actually move around and look at license plates with it if you want. But for the most part, Chamber hasn't paid for installs. Part of that is the install cost was getting out of hand. In Winnipeg, it's about $75 to install a camera. You can call 10 different companies and they'll do that all day long. The ones the Chamber was doing here, we were getting it to $300 a camera, which was just prohibitively expensive, because it should only take an hour or so to install one, best case. We were supplying all the equipment, and still it was costing $300 to put a camera in. So we just didn't spend a lot on that, because we didn't want to waste all the money on installs when they were so expensive. New cameras are coming at the museum. That is not part of this project, though. So again, those are going to be purchased elsewhere, but will be connected. Things you should know about the camera projects. The RCMP tell us they're doing canvassing in the next few weeks downtown to try and place some more cameras in the places they want to be able to see. So that's a good help to have them out there. We probably need to do some more awareness of the system. We had in the early going an individual that spent a lot of time going to businesses in the town, telling them that they shouldn't have anything to do with these cameras, and if they put these cameras in, everybody could spy on them and see them. And that did a lot of damage to this spirit of the system. Got some people to not participate that should have. So we need to do some work on that, share some success stories of things that have gone right. We're into that. What do we need to do? We need to get rid of the low-hanging fruit. We still have places that don't have alarm systems. And cameras are great because we can see, but an alarm system also actually calls somebody. And so it's kind of that part and parcel thing. I think to some of the food booth problems we've had at the fairgrounds. You know, if you knew somebody was in the building right away, the damage wouldn't go on for a month before you found out and all the copper was gone already. So there's some of those things we need to do a little better. The citizens on patrol issue, you know, we need to resolve that. It just is silly to have two kind of different groups. We need to get that together into one so people are working together a little better. I don't know how. That's why I told you about it, because you guys are a lot smarter than me in some of those people things. We need to, you know, kind of get finished off on this phase one and then decide if we're going any further, if we're just stopping there. Things you should know, the system can work with existing cameras at businesses, so if you have good cameras, we don't have to put new ones in. We just put a little connector box and it's part of the system. Privacy legislation is a big thing for this. So the RCMP are subject to federal privacy regulations. They can't operate, nor can a municipality, a camera network like this, because it's seen as citizen surveillance, and that's pretty frowned upon these days in privacy. However, businesses and business associations like chambers can operate them for the purpose we're operating it for. So there's kind of that interesting aspect of why the chamber is doing this instead of a local government or the RCMP themselves. It just doesn't work well for them because right away you run into the privacy legislation, whereas if you stay on the private business side, you don't. The tower downtown here provides wireless access. So for example, Giant Tiger is connected that way to the camera network. That saves $100 a month for one business to connect. So there are some opportunities, you know, for some lower cost installs at some places that don't have internet yet. If they can see the tower, you can still connect the cameras back. The system can take cameras at any location, so they don't have to be in the physical town of Swan River. You know, some of the cameras are in Bonito that can be seen on the system, but that still lets the RCMP say, hey, I need that footage from Bonito, and we can just pull it up for them. So you can certainly put cameras in Minnetonka or anywhere you can imagine. So it's very flexible for trying to help out the rest of the valley. The alarm monitoring thing is probably as powerful as the cameras. Just if you've ever had a break-in and you have cameras, it's great. You see what was taken and you probably see who took it, but it doesn't stop them from taking it at the time of. It doesn't make sure the police show up to do something about it. So the camera system allows for synchronized playback, which is kind of a cool thing. So if you imagine if you're an RCMP officer and you want to know where the bad guy went through downtown Swan River, the old way is you go to every single business and pull a day's worth of footage from each one and watch through all that footage to try to find the guy. In this system, anything that's connected, once you find him once, you can just follow him through every business that's connected to it. And it plays in real time, so you can see him walking down Main Street here, you'd hop to the next camera, and see where he goes to and what he does. And sometimes he comes very close to a camera. So it might be 3 blocks away, but you get an amazing face picture of him that you didn't necessarily get where he committed the crime, which is quite useful. The system is designed to protect privacy. Anything that's inside a business on the system is blocked from viewing. So that doesn't get looked at by anyone in chamber or the RCMP. We don't share video. If you have an indoor camera on this, we're only willing to accept outdoor cameras. And that again comes back to the privacy legislation. When you're outside, there isn't an expectation of privacy. We can record you. As soon as you're in a building, there is some expectation of privacy, and we want nothing to do with that. We also don't store any video of the chamber. So we don't have the video from all over town. Each business has its own video available for however long, usually a month before it's overwritten. The only time we store video is if we have a request from the RCMP to find video, we'll download that for them and give it to them. We usually keep a copy because sometimes it gets lost, but we don't wholesale store everything, so there is no central place at the chamber you can go to look at the video. And we've had businesses ask, so what if I don't want to share the video anymore? Then you just unplug it. And once you unplug it, we have no more access to it. So, the second part of this is really short, was the near future plans for chamber. So coming up fairly quickly, chamber receives summer student funding. Go ahead.
Your worship, can we just go over the camera stuff first?
Sure.
Okay, we'll stop there then, and any questions on the cameras and stuff? Absolutely.
Well, first, thank you. Got me more mixed up. Regardless, so when you say we download, is that you? Is that the chamber is downloading?
The chamber. Primarily it would be me, but it could be Mark or Ainslie or anybody on chamber could go in and do it.
So I can't see, other than reacting post-crime, they gotta see the crime, then it reacts. You can't do pre-crime things. What are you doing? I'm sure you're doing your best, by the way. So how do we get the business community as a whole to buy into this kind of stuff? Because obviously they're not, or for whatever reason, you alluded to one earlier.
There's the history from that. The RCMP, like, they've got a new guy that wants to go and spend some time going through businesses and explaining it to them again. I think businesses, we're all busy. And so somebody walks in one day and says, hey, you should have some cameras. And I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea. And it doesn't necessarily go anywhere unless you hold their hand a little bit. He had some success, with the Windsors, the Boychucks. That was that RCMP member saying, hey, do you understand this? This could be for you. This could be free. It could help us out and help you too. And he got some traction with that. So I think he'll get more because he's he shows up in uniform, which helps, gets the attention a little more, and then explains it a little lower level than others might.
So hypothetically with the GIS here, which is doing a wonderful job, we're led to believe, that potentially would free up a regular constable in the community to be able to do that kind of thing you're talking, proactive, go to the businesses.
The one member actually was willing to volunteer his time outside of his normal shifts, just come in and do it because he felt that strong about it.
Yeah. You alluded to a $300 install fee. Is there only one person in town that install?
So the chamber has only ever had 2 different people do installs. The giant tagger installs were very involved because of the size of the building. So those installs came in about that price. The other gentleman that was doing installs for us was doing really simple installs, but they were still coming in about that price.
Do you send out an RFP for that kind of stuff?
When we first started out, we said to everybody, hey, who wants to do this? We circulated amongst the electricians, because primarily the electricians are the ones that will run the wires. We got some responses from them. We've tried to share the work out within reason. So a different person did Giant Tagger than did some of the other sites. And even within some of the Swan Valley West sites, we shared that out a bit, just to try to make sure everybody benefited from it.
With the evolution of the cameras and the wonderful potential, it might be time to do that again, when people more cognizant of where they're going. Volunteers to watch. So at the moment, that goes to each individual. Inside, no problem. Outside, a bit of an issue. But at the moment, there's no live people sitting in that room at the back. We've got all these screens. You toured it with me, and I thank you for that. So finding a person or persons who can sit there anonymously and they can see it happening. So it's happening right now. They're not the bosses in the home. She's not at home doing it, whatever. That seems to be the key component here.
Absolutely. What was envisioned, and maybe wrongly so, was that you would not only have people there, but you would have the citizens on patrol that were out and about. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a crime. If you see 5 or 6 people standing behind a business, you can say to the citizens on patrol people, hey, could you just drive by? And, they drive by just to provide a calming influence. And people tend to move along, right, if they know somebody's out paying attention. But the volunteer thing has been tough. There just has not been people wanting to do it.
How many cameras are out there in the community now, inside and outside, your best guess?
We're running about 70 right now.
70?
Yeah.
Awesome. How many do you have in storage?
In storage, we have, so check my math. 12 sets of 6, so call that another 70. I think there's another 20 or so, so 80, 90.
I'm okay. I think, as I see the priority in my mind, is getting somebody to volunteer to watch all these cameras, get these guys while they're performing their act of crime, not post-crime.
Councillor Bobick.
Just on the community patrol vehicle, is there some way that COPP can get to use that?
We've suggested many times they just take it and use it and we'll pay the gas.
Okay, so we'll need to,
And maybe, you know, like maybe the town will have a little better luck with those suggestions. There's been some management change there.
okay,
You know,
yeah, no,
but
I
it is
totally agree.
absolutely available and ready to go. The chamber has money to pay for the gas. It's a nice vehicle. They're welcome to use it every single day.
And I guess why I bring this up is I've talked to people that would be willing to do that, but they don't wanna take their own vehicle.
Right.
Because
And
leave
that
it
was,
somewhere else, it may get.
that was why we came up with this in the first place. We had a lot of people that said, we just don't feel safe driving on our own
You
vehicle.
need to try to push that forward.
Yeah.
Okay. Just a comment that when you're wanting to put cameras up, I know the conversation has come up at Watershed that we would be willing to put a camera up there. They've been approached a number of times. They come to Watershed and say, have you seen this vehicle? Do you have cameras? So it's way out of town, so that needs to be, I'll bring it to the board and bring it back to you and make sure the board's on board with it. In conversations that we've had, I'm sure that.
It's certainly a priority location.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and Councillor Ainslie Whyte.
Just while you had just said it there, of taking the vehicle, there's a camera in the vehicle as well, right?
Yes.
What else does the vehicle have for added features?
So it has front and back camera. It has amber lights on the top, which can be used, you know, in certain situations they can be used. Certainly it's not just driving around flashing, but there's some times you would use it. It has two-way radio in it. It's connected to the repeater and there's handhelds. So part of that is allowing, you know, some safety. Ideally, you would always have two people in the vehicle. If you didn't, you would have somebody someplace else talking to them in real time so that
Not alone.
you weren't alone.
If people, businesses want to purchase cameras, would they get the same rate that the chamber
So
purchased them for?
we certainly don't prescribe where you buy them. You can buy
Okay.
them from anybody you want. The chamber will sell you cameras if you want,
Okay.
at whatever rate the chamber buys them for.
Okay.
But you can purchase them from, there's at least 2 or 3 people in town that sell them. And sell similar ones that will connect to the system.
Right.
So we never want as the chamber to be in a position where we're saying you have to buy here, or you have to buy there. We try to make it as wide open as we can. Buy them anywhere you want. If you buy one that is compatible with this, it can connect.
Hook it up to the thing. And you had said the electricians, you'd engage them to run the wires. I'm trying to piece together why it's $300, why that was a $300 install, and if it's gonna be difficult to find people to install them, like is this something that,
Certainly, from what I understand, the quote that Windsor's got to install theirs was substantially less.
okay,
So there are cheaper options out there. I think it was just, you know, at the time when it was new in the chamber, the first option we used for installs, there was some pressure internally, politically for that. And that pressure's moved on now. And then when we did the giant tagger, we used a cheaper option to begin with there. It still cost as much, but because the building's so much bigger, right? You know, a small building, it takes an hour to install 2 or 3 cameras, whereas giant tagger, you know, by the time we were putting scaffolding in the building, it upped the cost again.
and then last question, I didn't grasp, did you say that alarm monitoring is included if they subscribe to the camera monitoring?
They
Or-
don't have to have cameras. So the alarm is there, any nonprofit that wants to use it, if they have alarm hardware of some sort, good, it'll work. The alarm setup, like that patrol vehicle has a 2-way radio in it, and the alarms are connected to that. So if you're driving the patrol vehicle and the alarm goes off at any business that's part of that, it pages the patrol vehicle immediately saying the alarm is going off at this location.
Cool.
We tell our people, anyone that drives it, that you don't go there to be the police. You drive by, if there's a broken window, you call the police. You know, it's that extra set of eyes and ears that is not meant to be someone out there to enforce the law.
Vigilante.
It's meant to just provide more information.
Councillor Duane Whyte.
So camera costs,
One camera, you have to have something to plug it into, so you're around $600 for 4 cameras with the thing to plug it into,
4 cameras for 600?
with the
And
box.
300 installs, so it's $1,000 plus or minus.
Thousands, some of them were $300 per camera. So it was ending up being $1,200 to install $500 or $600 cameras. They're really easy to install. We've had businesses that have had great success just doing it themselves. You got a roll of wire, you run it through your roof, you plug in both ends, done.
Okay, and at the moment, once the camera records data and the management person finds that data, they phone the RCMP comes to that place and access that data on that camera.
So the RCMP, what we try to do is make it so the RCMP don't have to go. We usually deliver the data to them on a flash stick. What happens in non-connected cameras is a member ends up going door to door canvassing for video. And so they may go to 12 businesses, and that might take them 4 or 5 hours to go to those businesses, ask for the video, go back a day later, get the video, try and piece it all together. So we're trying to eliminate all of that, because any hour we can save a member from asking for video is another hour he's out on the street doing something else. So anything that's coming from our system, we just give them a package, here's the video you asked for, and they don't spend their time looking for it.
Okay, good stuff, thank you.
All right, I think we'll just move on because we're almost, time is expired, so we'll let you go on to the chamber upcoming.
So I'll be very quick with that, seeing how we're kind of out of time. There's a summer students, we're interviewing again tomorrow at 4:15, by the way. I have to text someone on council to remind them that he can come if he wants, but 4:15. So that's the final interview. We're going to choose a summer student, so the chamber will have a summer student for the first time in a long time. We're kind of tasking them with some tourism promotional type stuff, so they're gonna spend some time getting some pictures and some video to kind of flesh that out a little bit. Chamber board has approved redoing that scratch and win contest we did last year. It's kind of a shop local thing, so that's gonna be coming out again soon. Plans are underway for the parade. That's a pretty typical thing every year. Looking at doing memberships for 2026 to kind of push that along a little bit more. And the financial reports, which I know you asked about, are almost done.
Okay, so any questions on the chamber upcoming? Councillor Duane Whyte.
As far as I know, all of your members of your chamber have jobs.
They do.
I just wonder, how do you find time to do all this stuff? Like, you need a full-time person dedicated, by small mind, to do those activities as well as one would like. Not that they're being done poorly, but we could do them better.
Absolutely. You know, the history of the chamber used to have a 10-hour-a-week employee for some time, and they kind of coexisted with economic development. And so some weeks chamber might have got more than 10 hours, and some weeks they might have got less. But you know, that one time that building was full of people, and a lot more could get done when you're managing these things off the side of your desk. Which everybody on chamber right now is doing something else. There's no one there that is, here's a chamber employee. It absolutely makes it tougher. Chamber, unfortunately, through COVID, burned through all their reserves. There was nothing left after COVID, so there was no money left to pay an employee.
So purely hypothetical comment is that if some entity in the valley, regardless who it is, were to hire an EDO, one of the things perhaps could be doing some of these jobs.
Certainly it could be. It depends who hires the EDO and what they task them with, but you know, chamber could always use help. We have been sneaking a few hours out of the Swan Valley West system too, just to try and get things caught up, because otherwise it just doesn't get done. So chamber's not paying for that. We're just kind of using up some of the spare time right now on getting through some of the financials.
Okay, anything further? Okay,
Great.
thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.
Thanks.
All right, moving on to our second delegation, 4.2. Be it resolved that the information provided by Adult Teen Challenge of Central Canada dated May the 1st, 2026 be received, and be it further resolved that the Teen Challenge team be invited to speak as a delegation. Moved by Councillor Bobick, second by Councillor Ainslie Whyte. All in favor? It's carried. Our deputy mayor is now attending by video, I forgot to introduce, as well as our CFO, Mr. Gnida. So if you want to come forward, introduce yourself, and then we will proceed.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming.
So I'm Jennifer Ahuja. I'm the Chief Administrative Officer within Adult and Teen Challenge of Central Canada.
My name is Teresa, and I'm the Community Service Coordinator with Adult and Teen Challenge.
I'm Kona Sinanayaka. I'm the head of the Community Service Office in Swan River.
Yeah. So we just wanted to share a little bit about the new service that we're offering here in Swan River. We've been working on trying to hire the right person here for quite a long time. We've had the old First Baptist building on 5th for the past number of years, and so for the past few years we've been running just a monthly recovery service there, which we're seeing great turnouts there, lots of people coming for that. And so we're gonna run you through, there's one slide, we'll just kind of run you through what a community office is and kind of what we do and why it's important to have us in your community.
Yeah.
So this is the scope of community services at Adult and Teen Challenge, and so I'm just going to kind of run through mostly in order all of these things. And so first point of contact is how we define just new people coming for help, whatever that looks like. And so some people walking into our office for help might be a family member with somebody struggling with addiction, or it might be someone struggling with addiction themselves. That's our main focus, is helping people who are struggling with addiction. Our mission is to offer a full range of addiction treatment and recovery services with compassion and excellence. And so we offer a service assessment in the beginning just to determine what the person's needs are, and then we go through and work with that person to help them get to where they want to be. We have clinical counselors on staff in the region, and so we offer mental health assessments where needed. Usually those are provided, like for Swan River, those would be provided virtually, and then we provide whatever resources we can to that person. Parallel agency connections, which also is the bottom right corner of the image here. The parallel agency connections are one of our top priorities, and so every community where we have a community office, we're always trying to connect with the other agencies that are offering people helping services in the community, because we know that we're not going to have everything every person needs, and so we want to be able to have as close a net to catch someone before they fully fall as we can. And so we want to be able to offer referrals for different areas that maybe we are not able to cover in the services that we provide. So we do evangelism and outreach, so that's lots of, like, whenever we do our freedom service on the last Sunday of every month, we have a team of volunteers that come out, and we kind of go around on the street and invite everybody to come in. We serve a meal and just have an encouraging service where typically we have graduates from our program come to Swan, or they live in Swan already, and share their story of how they overcame their addiction, just to give people hope that, you know, someone who was where they are now has come through it, and kind of trying to give that hope that they can move forward. We also, our community offices give care to our alumni in the community. So we have, I think right now we have 3 ATC graduates who actually live in Swan. So they're from Swan, came back to Swan after the program. And so they connect at the community office and are invited for groups and that kind of thing. And so we see the community office as a bridge into inpatient treatment and then back into the community after inpatient treatment. And so we offer services in community for those who can't do inpatient treatment or maybe don't need to do something that intense, but they also are able to then reconnect with the mentorship and the connection with our support groups as well, back at the community office.
Yeah. And something I want to highlight about Swan River, so we have community service offices regionally in central Canada, so predominantly Manitoba and northwestern Ontario, but something quite significant about here in Swan River is due to the fact that for quite a few years we did not have a full-time staff member here, our volunteer base is quite good here. We've got around 10 to 12 people in this community who are quite sold out and are great ambassadors for us as Adults in Teen Challenge. So I would say it's been a couple months now of Koner being on staff with us, and they have really taken him in a sense under their wing. And something that we've been able to launch in the past few months, which we're really excited about, is our outpatient servicing options, which is called Ready Now. So those are outpatient groups, so they're weekly support groups. There's a men's group that happens weekly that Koner offers, and then there's now a women's group that's being offered starting next week, and that's all volunteer based. So there's women in your community who've said, yep, we want to offer a weekly support group for people who struggle with addiction, and that is something that we don't take lightly here, because again, for the past couple of years, without having a full-time staff member here who feels trained and equipped, your volunteers in this community have kind of said, yep, we're willing to learn, we're willing to monthly come do something to just help people, let them know there is support out there, and how can they're really just local normal people saying, yeah, we wanna see addiction end, so we wanna just be somebody to put their hands up and give them a hand out. So you'll see on that, on this picture here under, where is it here? I guess it's under evangelism. Oh, it's right there on the bottom. Yeah.
The bottom left, yeah.
So even on our website, I encourage you to look. On our website, it'll speak about a lot of this, but specifically under Ready Now on our website, it'll have Swan River there, and it'll share the location and times of those support groups. So even if you yourself know anyone, you have a family member, you know someone who struggles with addiction, I encourage you to let Koner connect with him, you know, and he can, obviously man to man is great. So if you have somebody in this community when men are struggling, he's someone that they can phone. And for women, we have a great women base here for volunteers that are willing, and myself as well. I'm quite available on the phone or online, and we have a lot of staff who are like that. But generally here in Swan River, we're looking forward to, of course, just having a full-time staff member here who can build those relationships. Over the past few years, Jen herself has been doing that along with a lot of other staff members. But locally, it's just nice to have someone. You've lived here now for 4 years, has it been?
5 years.
Yeah, 5 years. So we're looking forward to kind of just seeing how we can partner with the community on what you're already doing, so that we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We want to see what's happening so that we can just now be there, and we can just, again, be a piece to the puzzle of helping the crisis we're facing right now of addiction. So really, all of these pieces sum up what locally here can be offered. And Koner has done a great job of kind of studying this, getting it in him so that he can then communicate it to other people. But then, of course, Jen and myself are ready at hand for him whenever he kind of just needs that support.
Yeah, and a really key component of what Adult and Teen Challenge does is our in-residence treatment programs. And so we have, in Manitoba, we've got a women's program in Brandon, we've got a men's program in Winnipeg, and another men's program in Steinbach. And then we also have a women's in residence program in Thunder Bay, Ontario. So one thing, a key component, I'm not gonna actually focus on that. A key component of the community office is that all of our admissions for our in-residence program happen at our community office. And so somebody coming in and saying, I need to get into a program, Koner is able to help them apply to the program, walk them through the process, help them get all of the, you know, the ducks in a row, the medical checks and all the things that are needed to be able to get into the program. He can help them navigate all of that, and then we as a team can help with a referral to a detox center and then getting into treatment. And we do offer that for other treatment programs too. So if someone comes to us and says, you know, your program's not really a fit, but I need help to get into treatment somewhere else, we'll walk with them to do that. Our goal is to help people. And so we realize that our program might not be a fit for every person. For a variety of different reasons, and so we want to just help people navigate the terrain. It can be very rocky trying to get into treatment, and so we want to remove as many barriers to care as we can to make sure that people are getting the help that they need. And we know there's no shortage of people in really any of the communities we're in, but in Swan River is no different. There's no shortage of people here who need help with addiction, and so we want to be just the hope in the community to be able to help people move forward in their lives. So there's a couple other areas here that we won't go too deeply into. Like I said, we offer addictions counseling, usually virtually, and that's like on a case-by-case basis based on need. And then of course we're always, doing the development piece. Koner's out in the community connecting with different businesses and different agencies. And then also he's going into the different churches for doing presentations, not exactly like this, but similar, to just let them know kind of what we're doing and the support that we're gonna need. And so, we're not government funded fully. So we have, we receive some grants here and there, but we're not a fully funded program. So we run on donations. So we run micro businesses to fund our program, and then we have different fundraising events, and also just donors who send us money or whatever that looks like, partner with us on a monthly basis. So any questions?
Any questions? Councillor Ainslie Whyte.
Sure.
So, this is awesome. I've driven by that church. I do it daily, actually. And I've often wondered, and in fact somebody recently just even invited me to go serve supper, but it was extremely late and I can't, anyway, it doesn't matter, but I'm interested. And I was
Awesome.
gonna ask how many times a month that is, and you say it's once?
Once a month
At the
we
end
do
of the
that.
month?
Yeah, the last Sunday of every month we do freedom service.
6:30.
6:30 is when it starts, but they go out and invite people
That's
in
right, yeah.
at 5 or something like that.
5:30,
5:30,
yeah.
yeah. And then usually one of the churches takes a turn every month to provide the food, whatever that looks like. So sometimes it's pizza, sometimes it's chicken, sometimes it's food they've prepared.
And some businesses also helping.
Yeah, so really great. There's such good engagement in the community here, and we're really thankful for that, because this isn't an easy thing to start. It's very impactful, but it's not easy to start without help, so.
And that was another question is, do you have cards, pamphlets? How are you must be, you're connected with the churches, and I understand that. Hospital, the mental health department, I don't know what to call it, there. How else are we, where else would be your avenues to spread that word, or would that just be well known amongst that community?
Yeah, so Koner's, one of his main objectives is to connect with the different agencies in town. And so every week he's finding new agencies to go and make a connection with and then maintain connection with. So, hey, we're doing something new, or hey, do you have anybody to refer? Or hey, what services do you offer? Let me learn about your agency so I know what you offer and can help funnel people to you as well. So typically, it happens through relationship, really. The growth and just the people knowing about adult and teen challenges and what we offer, like that happens relationally typically. But yeah, we have business cards, we have
Brochures and
yeah.
posters.
Yeah, we have brochures, we have posters, and actually there's new brochures that'll be coming out soon that are more client focused. So the brochures that we have at the office right now are like more for donors, and so we've got some new client focused brochures that we just came out with. We do lots of different stuff. Like last year, instead of printing like cards to hand to people on the street who might need help, we actually made gum packs, because we thought, well, what are they going to actually keep, right? So a gum pack with someone's story on it and then a phone number that they could call for help was really cool. So we'll probably end up doing that again at some point. But yeah, we're just always trying to do something, like just think outside the box and be creative for how to get the word out there. But a lot of the community, like a lot of the people in the community who need our services already know about us because they've been coming to Freedom Service for like 3 years. A lot of them, because it's a meal, like it's a great time. And actually it's really fun. So it's not like a typical church service where you're sitting watching something. We eat and do the service all at once. So everyone's kind of visiting, talking, there might be music happening, somebody shares their story. So it's really engaging and hopeful. Yeah, exactly. So really cool.
Last question.
Sure.
Particularly with the aftercare support. So housing is in there. We've talked since I've been on council about like the gap with homelessness piece, and you say you're not government funded, and so I'm curious about the links of how someone would, what connections do you have for assistance?
Yeah, and so in Swan River specifically, there's not a lot of connections yet with regards to housing and who we can connect people with. And so when we say we support with housing, it's not that we personally provide housing, although we are moving in that direction in the province. We're just starting a renovation in June at our head office in Winnipeg. We'll be putting in 18 apartment units for reentry clients, and so that'll be 1 and 2 and 3 bedroom apartments. So that'll allow for like family reunification and different things like that for people graduating our programs. But that's in Winnipeg. So here in Swan River, we don't have like an apartment we can put someone in necessarily, but we do have like our goal is to just continue to build that network of agencies, so we have people who are able to support with housing and that kind of thing. So with alumni, like the biggest thing is when someone is coming, like completing either and we have other graphics, but I don't want to take too long because I want to respect, you guys said 10 minutes, so I don't want to like go way over time. But in order to complete either a phase of our program or our whole entire graduate program, which takes about 12 to 14 months to complete, for the person to have a completion certificate, they have to have an approved exit plan. And part of that exit plan is that they have a mentor in the community they're going back to, they have a place to live, a place to either work or go to school, or a way to support themselves. And then they are like connected so that they have like a safety net. So they have to connect back at the community office, all those things. And so that doesn't always get maintained, that connection. If the person decides they don't want to connect, we can't force them to, but we've got all the pieces in place and we're available to them in the community that they're going back to as often as possible.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Anybody else? Councillor Duane,
The goal is to help people. I think in simple terms because I can't handle the convoluted. But what more do you need to say? You know, if you make it this big, it's probably not valuable. So I thank you so much for helping people, and I'm sure all of us like to help people, but Connor and I have had a few chats. He's chasing me already, and I have no problem with that. I just had been able to reply and do some things I would like to do. We're all busy. You said you had virtual help, and I understand what that means. Is there any local, obviously I'm thinking psychiatrist as opposed to medical doctor, psychiatrists or any medical professionals that have volunteered to help in this world?
So we have, like David Jennison is a volunteer with us, so he actually runs the men's group with Connor. He's a local mental health professional. We don't have anyone on staff in Swan River who's offering mental health supports because that's just not a sustainable, like it wouldn't be sustainable for us because the demand is just not big enough to pay a salary in one place. So we have 3 counselors on staff. So if someone came into the office in Swan River and said to Connor, hey, I'm looking for supports, and he did a service assessment and determined that they needed support with mental health, the first step would be setting up a mental health assessment with one of our staff counselors virtually, and then determining what the best next steps are, whether we would refer them to another agency locally for in-person counseling, or whether virtual counseling with one of our people would be valuable for them. And so it's all about the need of the individual. We want to make sure people are getting the help that they need.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Councillor Bobick.
I'd like to thank you for your presentation. It really explained a lot to me, and I'm really happy that you do provide the service for the town of Swan River and the outlying areas. Is there anything that the town of Swan River could do to promote your services? Like, is there anything that we could do as a council?
Yeah, like I don't know how things work with promotions and stuff like that here. I'm not this is my first time in Swan River today. My husband,
Welcome.
I don't know if any of you ever met my husband, Robbie Ahuja. He was involved with helping kind of get things set up here initially. And so have heard lots about Swan River. I've just never gotten to come up myself. So I'm not super familiar with what you do for promotions or like what there would offer, but we've got, posters, we've got, like you said, brochures, business cards, all those things. I think the more people who just know about what we do and what we offer, and word of mouth, being able to say you should call Adult and Teen Challenge when you hear of someone with a need, that's really huge. But yeah, we're open to suggestions if you've got suggestions for promotions.
I guess my first suggestion would be a G4 meeting. Nice to see a G4 meeting for Team Challenge to come to a G4 meeting in the
So
future.
what Councillor Bobick's referring to is that all the municipalities, the 4 municipalities, get together quarterly and have a discussion about different things and things that affect us all. And I think what he's suggesting is maybe perhaps you come to a G4, then you have an opportunity to do the same kind of presentation to all the other municipalities of the valley as well.
Yeah, we would love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
One shot.
Yeah,
So our
that's
next
awesome.
one, I believe, is on June the 28th or the 29th. So,
So that would be a
go
you
ahead.
thing.
Yeah.
My daughter's getting married that week, so I'm gonna be in BC.
But you know what, there's other ones too. During
Yeah.
the fall time as well. So,
Yeah.
but we can always have communication that way and what's coming up.
Yeah, we would love that. Any opportunity to just continue connecting. And so that's another way is even just different agencies. Like if you know of agencies we should be connecting with, let us know. Like
Yeah.
Koner's always
Yeah.
open to that.
Sure, for sure.
Because we don't know all the things. We are, we want to be open-handed and have an attitude of learning. So yeah, we would love that though.
I was just gonna mention, folks, the fact that you're here and this is televised is a great way of getting the message out, first of all. Second of all, when it comes to health and wellness issues, we have no problem sharing your posters on our Facebook feed if you want to.
Oh,
send
great.
them to
Wow,
Yeah.
wonderful.
That's
Thank you.
awesome.
And the other thing is, yes, it is the 29th through the G4, and maybe you can't make it, but if you folks are
Yeah.
interested,
Yeah.
For sure.
we'll get Uriah to connect and maybe have you have an agenda, because it's actually in Swan River.
Oh,
right.
that's
this time,
wonderful.
That's
so
wonderful,
it's kind of convenient.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you very much.
I guess the deputy mayor is on the video and I don't know, I can't see his hand, the video, the screen is still with that shared, but if he had something that he wanted to ask or share, and then, yeah, okay.
No, I'm good, thanks.
All right, so then thank you very much again for your presentation. Yes, I've met Robbie several different times when he's come through the community, stopped in and always visit me and say hello, and I've met other people also that have gone through the program as well and heard their stories. So it's good work that your organization is doing, and we thank you for doing that, including Swan River as well.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
Thank
you.
you
very
very
much.
much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us
Yeah,
again.
thank you very much.
Thank you,
guys.
Have a good night.
Yeah,
Good night.
good evening. Thank you very much.
All right, moving on to 6.1. Be it resolved, the email accompanying letter dated April the 30th, 2026 from RCMP Secretariat regarding invitation to participate in the RCMP Public and Police Safety Framework consultation be received. Moved by Councillor Duane Whyte, seconded by Councillor Bobick. Any discussion? Councillor Duane Whyte.
I never went, I read it and I see the site, but as I understand it, it's an opportunity for people in the community to input into what the RCMP is doing in their community. So I'd encourage our listening audience or viewing audience to take a look at that. And I'm hoping that, you can access these minutes, and that website will be somewhere in our town website, Mr. Tewnion.
It's right now public on the agenda, Councillor Whyte. so
Perfect,
anybody
thank you.
can access it.
Any further discussion? Councillor Ainslie White?
Would this be something we would promote further, like on our Facebook page, a push out maybe a week or two ahead of the May 22nd deadline, just to make sure there's an awareness, because this is the first I've heard of it, and I think I've heard of it, pardon me. We may have talked about it before, but it's a lot of information, since March 25th, so I know I appreciate the reminder for sure.
Yeah. Okay, we can do that. CO Tewnion?
Yes, for sure.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 6.2, be it resolved that the letter and agreement dated April the 21st, 2026 from the Minister of Municipal and Northern Relations regarding the Urban Hometown Green Team Program be received. Moved by Councillor Ainslie White, seconded by Councillor Bobick. Any discussion? Go ahead.
So what does this compare to as last year?
I think they're a little bit more money.
$1,229 more than last year.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 6.3, be it resolved that the email dated May the 1st, 2026 from the Association of Manitoba Municipalities regarding 2026 AMM Parkland District meeting be received. Moved by Councillor Bobick, seconded by Councillor Ainslie Whyte. Discussion? So just a reminder that that will be in the RM Dauphin. There has been some information that's been already circulating from the AMM on the actual agenda. We also have, I see later on in the agenda, there will also be some potential resolutions that will come before as well, but we also have to register as well. So if you're attending this, you have to let our CEO know that you'll be attending so that we can also get you all registered. Go ahead.
Who generally registers for this? Does everybody participate in this? Is it
Typically, yeah, if you,
selective?
if you want to go, you can go. But
Okay.
you know, it's up to you, so go ahead.
Just to save a bunch of emails, Councillor Whyte, Uriah will be reaching out to all of the councils, all of council and the mayor to confirm attendance, and he'll be doing all the registering, so.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, you don't need to, yeah, they'll do all the registration for us. Yes. Thank you for doing that. Any other discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 7.1. Be it resolved, the Chief Administrative Officer's report be received. Moved by Councillor Bobick, seconded by Councillor Ainslie Whyte. Discussion? Councillor Duane Whyte.
One of the comments in there, CO Tewnion was you're doing some homework on the next generation 911. I don't know what the next generation 911 means.
So it's a trend, sorry.
Good, go ahead.
It's a transition to a next generation 911 system. We have, there's some issues right now that AMM is working in the province with. So it's just my advisement to council that we have that on our radar, but we're not moving forward with anything pending input from AMM.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the 911 has a few generations. It has changed as time went on, so this is what this is kind of all about, the improvements to that. Any further discussion? Councillor Ainslie Whyte?
This is an ignorant question, but I'm not sure
None
what
are ignorant.
G8
G8, well,
is.
so it's just like the G4, G8.
I just wondered if I was missing something.
No,
or-
it's kind of almost the
It's
same
the
thing.
same.
Go ahead.
May I, Your Worship?
Yeah,
G4 are the 4 municipalities, the other 4 is the school division, Sapatoyak, West Pacific, and Métis Federation.
Oh, okay,
That makes up the G8.
yeah.
okay.
And typically, the host tries to get all, like a G4 for our G4 information and discussion, and then G8, we try to bring them all together. But we've had challenges in the past, but
And that's where we were gonna be inviting also Prairie Mountain Health too.
yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 7.2. Be it resolved, the Director of Public Works report be received. Moved by Councillor Duane Whyte, seconded by Councillor Bobick. Discussion? Councillor Duane Whyte.
There's 2 points on there, Director Harvey. There's related to a truck with a blade through the airport. Is that a goal? Is that a thought? What's the status of that?
So that was some internal discussion that we had to try and free up snow clearing equipment. Because we have the loader that we can send out to do the runways, but then it's not doing the roads in town. Like it does roads in town, gravel roads and roads without manholes. But this was discussed as an option so that there's a piece of equipment out there that can just be used to clear the airport and it's not pulling from the town.
It's just a discussion stage.
Yeah, and
Okay.
so this was from AMM, I ran into the Falcon equipment, or I was at the Falcon equipment booth. And so I thought it'd be a good opportunity to get a budget price.
Perfect.
And then the airport tender will be coming out at some time, or RFP for administering it, so it kind of depends where that goes as to whether this would be pursued by the town or not, but it's just good to have that double value.
Okay, thank you. Second question, I see you're considering in the process of dredging cell 1 or cell 2 irrelevant, and you can take that precipitate out of those lagoons, and then there's a process where you take the food and you can actually get the water out of whatever it was and spread it on farmland. Now, why can't we do that to greater detail, dig it all out and not have to fix ourselves? Why are we considering buying more land, for example, building all new cells? What's wrong with this, digging it out and spreading it around?
Yeah, you can do that, but when we've had issues with capacity, like the amount of sludge that we have in there wouldn't make a difference. So it's to try and have the capacity so that we don't have to do emergency discharges. And so originally we were gonna do this Sager system within the existing cell. And so that would be more treatment. It's rocks that allows bacterial growth on them. So then you can discharge all throughout the winter. So then we'd have continuous discharge. So then it wouldn't be a capacity issue. But when they tested our cells, like they did an investigation, that they said they wouldn't pass the current standards for hydraulic conductivity. So then they looked at a liner, but that would be extremely expensive because you have to put sand and drain pipes down for degasification. And if you're gonna do all that work, it's easier to do it in the dry than to try and do it in the wet where there's an existing lagoon. So that's why we started looking at other options.
Never will I question your decisions.
No, that's fine.
Ask the thought process. So,
Yeah.
so what you're saying, you can only take so much sludge out, precipitate out, which will, you're predicting more water than usual, obviously, then, because if this has worked for 25 years, where's all this extra water coming in to fill it up that we need more things? And the second part, obviously, is it's expensive, but as I understand, a quarter section of land is roughly $1 million now. So all of a sudden, maybe it's not as expensive as we thought it was going to be in the past with the cost of land now.
Yeah, they'll have to factor that in, but they were like in the $20 million is what they're talking for retrofitting our existing landfill.
20 million to retrofit.
Yeah, with a
Wow.
liner.
Land doesn't even cost that much.
What I suggest maybe if we can do in a future Cal meeting is actually maybe have kind of like a presentation on what we have, what it looks like, where its deficiencies are, and why we're looking at something different, just so that all council can really understand. And I'm talking about some visuals and stuff like that that will just help everybody to understand exactly what you're saying.
Sure.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good answer.
Go ahead, Councillor Ainslie.
I don't have I just have a comment. I shouted out to everyone the other morning, but I'm just very impressed with the fact that Director Harvey, I can't remember your last name, went through this is what we do in case we start flooding. Like a month ago, we had talked about that, and Director Harvey had made sure we have sand. He told us all. We went through the whole thing, and then huzzah, the event started happening, and Public Works, emergency phone number, everything was happening as it was supposed to be. HSE was out door to door. Great work initiating and carrying out I think there's a little bit of communications that could be streamlined council-wise, and that's on us. Just really great job. I'm really impressed.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and this year is a good one to show why preparation is important, because like that first flood outlook, because I said in one of the meetings, is it still low? And they're like, well, no, it's moderate. It was never low, but I checked, and it did say low in the March spring outlook. And but then obviously some additional snow, and then everything melting at the same time. And this is the highest that I've seen it since I've been here, other than the ice jam. But the ice jam didn't cause it to go up everywhere. Like the ice jam happened behind Ross, and it affected Duncan. But this time you know, like I had talked to the previous director, he pointed out, you know, the low areas, and we have the maps, but this is the first time that I've seen it rise everywhere. And, so we got some additional, shots from the water level to correspond to the gauge board, just some additional information, and then, Ryan was out all weekend, her municipal lead hand, and, so he did a good job just being the town employee on the spot and talking to the residents, so they were aware, we dropped off the sand on that, like, there was one that started sandbagging, so he called me and said, well, we can get some sand out of this house, so we don't have to cart it half a block, so we were able to do that, so that was nice of him out,
Yes.
he was passing information to the CAO and myself all throughout the weekend, and checking and then relaying the information that was coming in from MTI and the gauge boards upstream, so that
Awesome.
was good just to keep being informed, because otherwise you wait until someone calls and says, is that my house?
Yes. Yeah, great work. Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 7.3, be it resolved, the Director of Recreation's report be received. Moved by Councillor Bobick, seconded by Councillor Ainslie Whyte. Discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 7.41, be it resolved that the report dated May the 1st, 2026 from the Chief Administrative Officer regarding the accessible information and communication standard regulation be received. Moved by Councillor Ainslie Whyte, seconded by Councillor Bobick. Discussion? Councillor Ainslie Whyte.
I found this very interesting. I'm a little bit in a cave on this, but the Accessibility Act seems like, I don't know, what I had pictured in the Accessibility Act and what the standards for the website are, it seems great. Like, these are great ideas, and, yeah, I can see why we're doing it. Is there a time, I didn't notice if there was a time frame we must be compliant by?
Well, go ahead.
We're compliant. What's happened, it was announced at AMM, you weren't able to attend, but it was brought up that the province is taking a soft approach to enforcement, making sure, but I'm confident we're well ahead of the game. We're doing really good, and you'll see, we do the transition, for example, all of the public notices that we put out, you'll see it's like a picture of the public notice, then we've also put the text. That's part of these new standards, so that people who aren't able to read off the screen picture, they'd actually be able to see the text and search it and all that stuff. So we're in good shape.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think we're pretty lucky. There's some places that are not so, and they're hoping that the government is not going to be too heavy-handed with that, because there are officers that the province has hired already, and they're hoping that they're not going to be too heavy-handed with that. So, any further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 7.42, be it resolved that the report dated May the 1st, 2026 from the Chief Administrative Officer regarding the request from the RM Mountain to co-sponsor the resolution for a derelict housing pilot project be received. Moved by Councillor Duane Whyte, seconded by Councillor Bobick. Discussion?
I would hope we would support it.
All in favor? It's carried. Council reports. Councillor Bobick.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just when we mentioned the equipment purchase, I'll just go through that. I'm planning on calling an airport meeting sometime early June here, and some of the subjects that are going to be talked about are fuel prices. Swan River is one of the lowest fuel prices in the district's card lock. Where we move with this, we don't seem to be having any access to getting it done, so Airport Commission needs to make a decision on which way we're going with that. Also landing fees, there is some airports that charge landing fees, whether that will be initiated here or not, that's something we need to determine. and also the purchase of equipment through the airport commission or not, whether it's things to somehow free up some of the equipment that the town uses in large snow events like which we've been having this winter. So just for a general comment, that in 1,100 hours of snow removal that was done, 400 of that was at the airport. So take into consideration that that also puts our employees in overtime status. So these are some of the conversations that will be going on. Also to mention that I sent an email out to everybody that watershed planner, provincial planner, and the watershed staff will be attending the G4 and giving kind of a general explanation of the watershed, how it works and everything, so which I think would be a good thing for all council. Just my one comment on watershed, you have to understand watershed works on a totally different boundary. We don't work on municipal boundaries, we have our own boundaries. We work on watershed, so that's a really sometimes hard thing for councillors to grasp, that we work on watersheds, not municipal boundaries. And that's about it. Just a comment on the street cleaning. I've been getting lots of good reviews on that. People are very happy to see they're out bright and early, and also people are still commenting on what a great job we're doing on snow removal since it's still snowing every day. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ainslie.
I had the opportunity to do an interview for the chamber position for the summer student. We have another one tomorrow afternoon. So that sounds like a really awesome opportunity for the summer student to fill a little bit of the gap that, rather than have on the side of somebody's plate. The first interview was very, very promising as far as some experience and ability to create their own schedule and gather the information, talk to people they don't know. It's a very interesting position that the chamber is hiring, so I'm interested to see how that goes. Duane and I had the opportunity to go for
Councillor
lunch.
Whyte.
Councillor Whyte and I had the opportunity to go to meet with Marg Fraser, and that was pertaining to the All Ages Committee. There will be more that I will bring forward at the Committee of the Whole next week, I'm hoping to actually meet with Doreen, who is the chair of the Seniors Center Committee, and it's all volunteers. They don't have funding. It's a lot of resource, and they have a brief list of needs and focus areas that were passed through Marg to us. And so I'm very interested to listen to Doreen and glean what didn't make the list. My goal, our team here is to gather more information, prioritize their list from their perspective of what are the key. They've got volunteers doing all of the accounting, and like it's a very big load, and they're communicating the strain, and so I feel it is vital that we respond and assist however we can. So when I was thinking about what would be logical, meet with her, get the prioritized list, and then we can come back to the Committee of the Whole and express what their top concerns are. I thought if we can separate what's low-hanging fruit, maybe we can quickly, solve a few challenges that they're having, but just really be a support and help promote some sort of solution for some of the challenges they're having, I suppose. And just, it was also presented that this would affect all of the municipalities. I would dare even say that after we meet with her, I wouldn't be surprised if I did come forward and say that this would be something to speak about at the G8, because our population is aging and it affects us all. And this is, reminder, not just the senior center, although that's what I'm focused on at this exact moment, but the All Ages Committee, they say, is from womb to tomb. And that's a great way to put it. If I'm pushing a stroller or I have a cane, things should be accessible. So I'm really encouraged to help that group that I feel could use some more engagement. So.
Thank you.
Oh, last thing. Great job on the street holes as well. I had just finished telling somebody, it's amazing how the snow disappears and there's this gaping hole. Like, I was just driving on it in December. It was fine. Snow covered, blah, blah, blah. Now, there's a hole. And I mean, clearly, I'm not an engineer, but I wouldn't assume that we can just fix that while the ground is frozen. So what do I see? A loader and a worker and a shovel and some cold pack or whatever you, what do you call it?
Cold mix.
Cold mix. Scoop it, filling these holes intermittently, because boy, it's a real shocker when you drive over those. So another like great intermediate fix. I don't know, like the engineering side of it, but I was just like, good job, because it's just, it seems like everything's crumbling all around us road-wise. So just another shout out for that. That's it.
Thank you. Yeah, on that, you know, like wintertime and spring can be a real bad time for our climate because of the thawing and the freezing. And if you have cracks in your asphalt, the water goes in, freezes, expands, breaks it apart. Next thing you know, you have a big pothole.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank God for cold mix, because that helps us fix the problem short term. Sometimes it lasts longer than that, but then we're able to fix that later on. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Councillor Duane.
Well, I'm worn out listening to Councillor Whyte here.
Sorry.
She brings, that's a positive, by the way. She brings that enthusiasm in the meeting we had with Mark Fraser and myself and Councillor Whyte, and a follow-up phone call or text message back and forth. Councillor Whyte has volunteered to be the champion representing council on that committee. I said I'll be the sous chef. I'll do this having too many jobs, but I'm so thankful that you volunteered to jump into the fire there and make that happen. And we're meeting with Duane Burton and probably another lady who's going to come soon in the next week or so and try to find, which is so important, but what their concerns are, not that age-friendly have this wonderful list, and they're all important, absolutely. But I appreciate that you're dwelling on what they're doing. So I think the age-friendly community is going to have a nice young champion in Ms. Whyte here beside us. Thank you.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Moriaux. We're it's a little quiet here, just a second.
Sure what that is.
Can you try that again,
Test
Deputy
that.
Mayor?
Okay, nothing from me since we met last week.
Okay, thank you. For myself, you know, obviously the river water and the attention that obviously that drawn was substantial for us in the last few days. Thank goodness that it didn't raise any more than what it did. I really have to say at the same time, congratulations to our work crews and Mr. Bettisworth on what they did to you know, either get the sand in place and all that in the case that we might have needed it, but also to communicate with the residents. I was down there Saturday morning and I was impressed. He was going door to door and he was talking to the people, communicating, and he did this on a regular basis, and I thought this is really good. And so you know, kudos to him, and I wish our administration to thank him for, you know, all the work and efforts that he did in that role. When he was telling me that, you know, you sit there and you look at the river and you think, okay, you know what, we've seen it like this, you know, and then they say, okay, it's at this at the marker, you know, it's this at the sea end, it's at this at Ross and all that. What does it mean where it actually comes up, you know, along the lines? Because people, you know, can't remember what it looked like, and I like, you know, the technology now that's available where they're going to be able to mark those and be able to say, okay, you know what, if it's at this level, this is where it's going to be on this ground right here, or if it's going to be up to this berm or whatever. So it's going to be really neat how that moves on, and it'll help us to predict or to be prepared for any of that. It was mentioned, you know, like, yeah, this is the highest maybe with a non-ice, but we did see it higher. And I do remember one time when the river was up to at Duncan area, up to the swings, and I do, and that was quite high, and that's where the berms, I think, have been built, you know, so, you know, it's a great thing that we have the berms, and I think that, you know, maybe Watershed can consider maybe doing something to help, maybe as a project to maybe finish the berms, to maybe upriver a little bit, just to kind of make sure that area is completely protected. And other than that, the one thing that, you know, we remain calm, you know, we communicate with people. Social media can be so bad, and there was so much misinformation when I would visit people and they would tell me, oh, you know, like, we've been told that there's immediate sandbagging, and there wasn't, you know, and it's really unfortunate, but I think for the most part, the people, there's residents down that have lived down there for years, and they know, they look and they go, it's gonna be fine, you know, we'll keep watching it or whatever. But, you know, but at the same time, I realized it was important for us to be proactive and to be ready for that. And we did a good job with that. On the snow clearing, I actually had a ratepayer from the arm of Swan Valley West come up to me and tell me that our crews did an amazing job of snow removal this winter. And he said, please tell them that they did a good job. So please pass that on to the whole crew at Public Works for their work. And I know that there's more people that have said the same thing too. Councillor Bobick, did you want to comment on Watershed?
We've already been spoken to on
Okay.
Watershed, and that subject is already.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. So then moving on then to 8.1. Whereas currently both municipal and local school division annual tax requisitions are sent to ratepayers on the same tax notice. And whereas many municipalities adjust their municipal budgets depending on the school division requisition to lessen tax increase impacts to the ratepayer to the negative effect to the municipality. And whereas many ratepayers incorrectly question their local municipal offices or municipal councillors regarding increases to the school division portion of the tax notice as the notices are sent out by the municipality. And whereas significant time and effort is spent directing ratepayers to the local school division or school trustees to explain their tax requisition amounts. Be it further resolved that the Association of Manitoba Municipalities lobby the provincial government to make the required changes to allow for the separation of the annual school tax requisition from the annual municipal tax requisition, and each entity sent their own requisitions to the respective ratepayers separately to avoid confusion and allow local council or school board to explain and justify their tax requisitions to their to their ratepayers. Moved by Deputy Mayor Moriaux, seconded by Councillor Ainslie. Whyte. Discussion. Deputy Mayor Moriaux.
Yeah, this is a resolution that I'm hoping passes tonight and that we can bring forth to the June district meeting and hopefully have the district support so that we can bring it to the fall convention for provincial support there, where we can hopefully see some changes in the tax requisitions to have them separated so both entities can justify their increases or decreases or expenditures to the ratepayers directly instead of the municipality being caught in the middle, being the tax collector and forwarded onto the school division without any say in that, what that budgeted amount. It's like basically the municipality takes the flak for the school division and then we just forward the amount that they request over. And I think that needs to change, and the school division and the school trustees need to be more accountable and make it easier for ratepayers to see that that amount on their annual tax bill is decided by the school division and not the municipal council.
Yeah, most of us that have been here for a while understand what that's all about, and I believe this is a good idea. Any other discussion? Councillor Bobick?
Has this been brought forward to AMM prior to this and years ago?
I think it had been, but I don't know, not exactly this way.
Yeah.
If this resolution passes, it'll go to the June district. June district, then we'll have that conversation. If they pass it, then it'll be critiqued by the resolution committee. Any further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 8.2. Whereas municipalities across Manitoba are increasingly challenged by derelict and abandoned buildings that pose risk to public safety, attract vandalism and criminal activity, and negatively impact property values and community well-being. And whereas the cost of demolishing and properly disposing of these structures is significant and places considerable financial strain on municipalities, particularly those with limited tax bases. And whereas the province of Saskatchewan has introduced a derelict building pilot project that allows municipalities to conduct controlled burns of derelict buildings, including under certain conditions, those on private property, providing a cost-effective and efficient method of removal while supporting firefighter training opportunities. And whereas such a program that has the potential to improve public safety, reduce municipal costs, support emergency services training, and promote community revitalization and economic development. Be it resolved, the town of Swan River hereby requests the Association of Manitoba Municipalities to lobby the province of Manitoba to consider the development and implementation of a pilot program similar to the Saskatchewan Derelict Building Pilot Project. Moved by Councillor Duane Whyte, seconded by Councillor Bobick. Any discussion? Councillor Bobick.
I just, to speak on derelict buildings and structures, is there some way that in this resolution it could also state that when a building is partially burnt or something, I'll use the town of Swan River for an example, you can put a lien against that property or the insurance company so to cover the demolition of it if the property owner walks away?
I understand what you're saying. I don't know if we can do that. We've had some conversation about that, because we had a property already in town that we went through that and we were not successful with the insurance company. I don't know if there would have to be some legal advice on that.
Okay, something we could look to into in the future.
Perhaps maybe at the June district, maybe that could come up.
Yeah, thank you.
If this passes, of course, or perhaps it might get there anyways without us passing it. Deputy Mayor Moriaux.
Yes, 2 points. Your worship, you missed reading the last paragraph of the resolution.
Did I?
Yeah, there's a second, therefore be resolved.
Oh, I didn't go
And
down.
then- Okay, and then second point is, I've talked with our local fire chief and stuff like that, and while this is, I guess an ambitious step or a good step for rural municipalities, from an urban municipality, there's some significant risk for burning these structures and stuff like that, and from an urban municipality, especially specifically for the town, our current process is adequate, even though it is expensive, but there's some significant liability and stuff like that. But from a board or fire chief's perspective, there's no harm in supporting this. It gets it there to there's a greater discussion, and it could be a tool that could be used for rural municipalities, and maybe in some areas in urban municipalities, but to do open fires and that for structures with a house that's 10 feet away, there's some other liabilities that should be addressed before doing that. So I see no issue in supporting the resolution to get it to the table, but it's just something that, as for the urban municipality in the town of Swan River, probably wouldn't likely be using, but it would be a tool for rural municipalities where there's less structures and risk of fire spread to other structures.
Yeah, thanks. And I had the same concern as what the opinion of our fire chief was or had. I'll read the last paragraph since I missed it, sorry. Be it further resolved that this program include appropriate environmental, safety, and regulatory safeguards to ensure responsible implementation while providing municipalities with the practical tools to address derelict properties. Councillor Duane Whyte.
I agree with everything Deputy Mayor Moriaux said. Having said that, let's pretend there is a house over there that's nowhere within 300 yards of it, that there's anybody else in charge. If Darren goes to a corner of some land we own, this allows the chief, if he feels it's safe to do it. If we don't have it, he might not be able to do it.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. 8.3, be it resolved that the terms and conditions of the agreement with the Government of Manitoba for the project described in the Urban Hometown Green Tea Program grant application for 2026 be accepted. Moved by Councillor Duane Whyte, seconded by Councillor Bobick. Discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 8.4, be it resolved that the Swan Valley Fire Board audited financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2025 be received. Moved by Councillor Ainslie Whyte, seconded by Councillor Bobick. Discussion? Deputy Mayor Moriaux.
Yeah, you can see, council, that the statements are there. Just want to note that it was a clean audit. There was no opinions or corrections noted for future. Last year, the fire board did have a surplus due to the increased revenue for participating in the wildfire fight up north that generated extra revenue that wasn't budgeted for the rental and the use of the trucks that were deployed. So that would account for the extra cash that would you'd see in the financials there, and that amount is been transferred to surpluses. But other than that, it basically was on par, on budget, and no concerns from the auditor.
Okay, further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. Opposed? It's carried. 10.1. Be it resolved the business taxes owing for roll number 1314100.100 in the amount of $1,392.89 and the accounts receivable owing for customer PEA 002 in the amount of $553.12 to be cancelled as the business declared bankruptcy and the monitor appointed under the Company's Creditor Arrangement Act has advised that no distribution is expected to unsecured creditors. Moved by Councillor Bobick, seconded by Councillor Ainslie Whyte. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. 10.2. Be it resolved the payroll accounts checks number P5628 to number P5630 and the direct deposit payments totaling $136,559.64 as listed on Schedule A be received. Moved by Councillor Ainslie Whyte, seconded by Councillor Duane Whyte. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. 10.3. Be it resolved the following accounts be approved for payment. General accounts checks number 33813 to number 33844 totaling $343,827.64 as listed on Schedule A. Direct deposit payments totaling $48,575 no cents as listed on Schedule B. Moved by Councillor Bobick, seconded by Councillor Duane Whyte. Discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 11.1. Be it resolved the bylaw number 5, 2026, being a bylaw of the town of Swan River, setting the rate of taxes for 2026 be read a second time. Moved by Councillor Bobick, seconded by Councillor Duane Whyte. Discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 11.2. Be it resolved the bylaw number 5, 2026, being a bylaw of the town of Swan River, setting the rate of taxes for 2026 be read a third time and be passed. Moved by Councillor Duane Whyte, seconded by Councillor Ainslie Whyte. Discussion? It's a recorded vote. All in favor? It's carried.
So it's carried unanimously.
Yes. Okay, members' privilege. Deputy Mayor Moriaux.
Nothing really much for me. I'm glad to hear you guys are getting the snow too, because I'm getting lots up here.
Bite your tongue.
I'm done.
Enjoy your snow. Councillor Ainslie Whyte.
I think I said everything in my report time, but I was curious if we had heard anything from MTI or the EMO or any of the letters about if we have any wonder with the warmer temperatures about a secondary increase in the river at all. I'm completely not in the know about that. I'm just curious if, like, it's dropped, but it was -4. And I was saying for the meeting, like, my basement's not taking in water anymore right now either, but I do worry about the later in the week when everything starts giving her, so I just.
So you were getting water in your basement off the river or just seepage?
Seepage.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm just correlating the two
Yeah,
as
no,
far
I
as
understand.
melting
Yeah.
speed.
So, Mr. Harvey, I guess the question is there any information from EMO that there might be an increase in flooding or water to the river if warmer temperatures arrive, or are we at its peak already?
Yeah.
It looks like you want to take it, so.
Yeah, just want to take it just because our emergency coordinator actually reports to the CAO, so you probably know because you and Ryan talk lots, but what happens is MTI and EMO report regularly to us. As frustrating as it may be that we're not getting the information as quickly as we can, I can assure you as soon as we get information I will report it to council, but they aren't yet. And I can only guess why. It could be because of the amount of water in Saskatchewan, the fact that the temperature varies every night, that they're not ready to make a prediction yet. So my advice is we just remain vigilant, we have everything in place. We saw how well it worked when we jumped into action when we had to. I really hope that it stays down, but they're not willing to give us that assurance yet.
So we just don't know.
We don't know.
Awesome, that's what I was curious, or if there was a definite, nope, that would have been its peak, everything else now, so, okay, so it's just still kind of in the air. Okay, thank you.
Okay, that's it. Did you want to comment?
I was just gonna say, just living south of town, the fields are black now. 2 days ago, the ditches were still right full of water, but now they've decreased a fair amount. So if it warms up again, the melting from within the local area shouldn't be too bad. The headwaters of the Swan River are in Saskatchewan to the north, so then it would just depend on what melts there. That'll probably be what drives the river level now, that most of the local areas melted a significant amount.
And I was gonna add to that, the two large rivers that actually carry a lot of water out of the Duck Mountains actually they deposit further downstream before the town of Swan River on both sides of us, on the south and actually even on the north.
Yeah, the Big Woody and the Roaring.
That's right. Councillor Duane Whyte.
I just want to thank our community as a whole. We had well over 500 people for our Sport Fish dinner the other night. Representation from all levels of government and the community as a whole. The volunteers are unbelievable. The workers did a fantastic job. The corporate sponsors did a great thing. I get heck for saying this. I'm cautiously optimistic we'll net $50,000, which will go to fish enhancements. It could be piers, it could be kids camps. Hopefully a lot will go to the kids. So it's a special evening and it's supported by our town and our valley. So we're pretty excited. Secondly, the Community Foundation just the other night had their awards night. And I can't say enough things about the Community Foundation and the activities they do for our valley as a whole, so thank them. And we've said it 6 times, I just never had a chance, so Mr. Bettisworth and the EMO team and whomever else involved there, thank you to all of you for the work that you've done in a very unknown science, because there's so many other factors that can't be predicted, so I understand their caution. So thank you to all of them.
Different or Moriaux? Oh no, I did you already. Councillor Bobick.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just to make a comment that on the Teen Challenge, I was really impressed with their speaking here tonight, so I think it's something we should be helping out with and making sure that it's out there to the general public. Of course, I'll mention Ride for a Reason is coming up. We're getting lots of donations now and stuff like that. Just for a comment, there was a family made a large donation to Ride for a Reason just lately in appreciation of some of the stuff that had been done for them. So with that, you have to really congratulate the community if you think of Ride for a Reason, you think of Tim's, you think of sports fishing, you think of Lobster Fest. In this short period of time, how much money is donated by this community. So the Swan River Valley should be very proud of what goes on here. Just one other comment is tomorrow is May 6th. 48 years ago, a young lady and I got married. We're one of the last ones to get married in the old hall before the new one came in. So a couple more years, we'll be celebrating something called silver, I think.
Well, congratulations on that.
Yes.
I do remember the old hall, by the way,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, I had a comment for him as well. Go ahead.
Relative to your comments about all the support, I noticed that you donated a miniature house to the Ride for a Reason as a part of a fundraiser. I was just worried, sir, where are you going to stay now?
I got over 30 of them, so that's fine.
And I was curious, the Ride for a Reason is nonprofit, and the funding goes to what exactly?
Well, we help people that are going for medical issues and stuff like that, so there's a lot of that. One year, the first year we did, we give to the senior center, so mostly it goes for people traveling or that need money to help with medical expenses. So it's really tough, we don't want to use their names or stuff like that, so I mean, it's all a trust issue when you donate to Ride for a Reason, but again, I'll speak on, it's not even so much the money when you give to these people, it's you can see it in their eyes that people care. So it's pretty emotional, some of it, so yeah.
With it being a nonprofit, I would encourage you to consider sharing that perhaps on the radio
Yeah.
on a morning.
Yeah.
You know, provide them a script and just get that. If it's nonprofit, that's a great way to, because I didn't know that there was donations being accepted right now, so.
Yeah, exactly, so it's,
Councillor Whyte will probably interview you live on the radio, and she asked very interesting questions.
We're getting away from this, so I'm gonna go with Mr. Harvey.
okay.
So Teen Challenge, remind me of another one, so that one was a conditional use that was approved by council. So a little kudos to council for doing that and just adding one more aspect to help with that. Another one is thriving business from what I can see by Hayes School. That was another church, and instead of just a closed church, council passed a conditional use there. There's some pushback from the community saying both, but council had the vision to see that, and I think both of those were quite successful. And then some of the compliments, like on the pothole patching and snow clearing, a lot of that goes to our foreman, Jordan Rooks. He does an excellent job. He comes in early, so he has a day planned out for the guys ahead of time. He brings stuff up to me, you know, like reminds me, hey, you got pothole patch or a cold mix on order, and you know, he's talking about that in March before it's even here, because you know we had a little bit of stockpile from last year, and you know he has the guys going out doing that. What he notices, people let me know, and I pass along streets and that, and yeah, he does a good job of the street sweeping, you know, keeping those going and making sure that they do boulevards first before there, but because there was so much snow, he had them doing all the streets that he could that didn't have boulevards, and yeah, he puts a lot of effort in, so thanks to him.
Okay, thank you. Director Gordon-Broome.
No, we've talked a lot about melts, so I just wanted to make a comment on the soccer fields. When I was out there on Friday, they were completely covered, and then with that warmth and the winds we had over the weekend, we had a call first thing Monday morning. Soccer wanted to go out and start using them. we said, well, go ahead. We made sure everything was safe and go ahead. But it was just crazy how to go from Friday when it was like, you looked at it and thought, no way they're getting on there, to Monday night they were already out using it. So it was just good to see how fast it can go and change.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Thank you. CFO Gnida.
We just received the municipal board approval for bylaw number 4, which was the local improvement levy for paving. So we're still waiting to hear from them for bylaws 1, 2, and 3, which are the special service levies for police, other special services, and residential waste and recycling.
Okay, thanks for the update. CO Tewnion.
Your worship, first of all, so we went from our rec department going full bore with the pool renovations to now public works with the, we had them for the snow and now the flooding. I just wanted to reiterate what everybody said. Proper planning is exactly what happened for this weekend. We were all ready for it, and everything from, it just happened to be Director Harvey, who was the admin on call. Jordan was the previous weekend. So, the public has an open line if we need to in emergencies. They call. Either some of them know the admin on call, which is a little troublesome for the person taking the calls on weekend. But our answering machine here, if people wait for the prompt to end, it tells the emergency admin on call. So there's always a constant communication with the town. Everything that happens behind the scenes, my role was to make sure I kept council informed, which we tried to. But it's also important to give accurate information. I know there's a real appetite to get updates, but I have to be careful because we have to make sure they're accurate. And that's the behind the scenes work from Darren, Director Harvey on call, Ryan going door to door. I bet you I probably wouldn't be exaggerating if I said about 100 texts back and forth, phone calls, emails. It was just like a well-oiled machine, and it wouldn't happen if we didn't have the great crew behind the scenes. So I'm pleased that council recognizes that. And that's all I have. Thanks.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that, and definitely everyone deserves that pat on the back. I want to congratulate the Sport Fishing Enhancement Group again on a very successful supper. I was there and had lots of visits with a lot of great people there, and the food was good as well at the same time. Could eat fish every day. Swan Valley Titans, our cricket club, is now fundraising for improving their field and getting their field going. So that's going to be exciting to see their own space to play their cricket games. So you'll see that some of their fundraising is out there. And speaking of fundraising, today we received notice from Tim Hortons that they have raised or the community has raised and purchased $19,434 worth of Smile cookies that will go towards the Swan Valley Health Facilities Foundation that will help to purchase important equipment for all our facilities, the Gnida Healthcare Center, Swan Valley Healthcare Center, Swan Valley Lodge, and the Personal Care Home. So thank you to Tim Hortons for supporting the Health Facilities Foundation and the important equipment that we need to purchase for our facilities.
I was speaking to Upender today, and he just happened to mention that's the most they've ever made.
That's true.
And I think he said it was they've now in their 10 years raised over, was it 110? It's over 100.
Yeah, so since 2014, they have now raised $110,641.34. So that's amazing. And they want to continue supporting that, and so that's just great news from Tim Hortons. So, yeah.
To the my cookies.
Yeah, I'm sure. And with that, we can go to camera. 14, be it resolved that pursuant to sections 152(3) of the Municipal Act, council go into committee and close the meeting to the public. Moved by Councillor Bobick, seconded by Councillor Ainslie Whyte. We were speaking on some stuff with the proposal of the RP with the arena, some other legal matters, and yeah, basically all the rest, some legal matters. So, all in favor? It's carried. So we'll go into camera. Out of camera, And items arising out of camera, we have a resolution. Whereas the town of Swan River has identified the development of a new community arena as a key community priority, an essential component of long-term recreational and regional service planning. And whereas securing federal and provincial grant funding is critical to advancing the project, the funding programs increasingly prioritize projects that are shovel-ready, requiring completion of pre-construction planning, design, and costing. And whereas Council passed Resolution 2026-0095 on February 18, 2026, which initiated a request for proposals, or RFP, for arena and architectural design plans. And whereas engaging a construction manager prior to pre-construction phase will provide construction management for the project, including detailed arena architectural design plan development, accurate cost estimates, and alignment with federal and provincial funding requirements. Be it resolved, the council authorizes the issuance of an RFP for construction management services for the pre-construction phase of the Swan Valley Recreational Facility. Moved by Councillor Bobick, seconded by Deputy Mayor Moriaux. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Be it resolved, this regular meeting of council will be adjourned at 9:50 p.m. Moved by Councillor Bobick, seconded by Councillor Ainslie Whyte. All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. We are now adjourned.
Sorry, what time did you say, Your Worship?
9:50.
Thank you.